termination subsequent to an egregious violation in interference in domestic affairs. Poroshenko and Zelensky adopted racist laws on the prohibition of everything Russian: education, media, culture, the destruction of books and monuments, a prohibition on the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, seizure of its property. These all became blatant violations of paragraph 3, Article 1 of the UN Charter on the respect for human rights and basic freedoms for all, without distinction as to race, gender, language, and religion. Not to mention the fact that these actions directly ran counter to the Constitution of Ukraine itself, the Constitution which sets out the obligation of the state to respect the rights of Russian and other national minorities. When we hear calls for implementation of the peace formula to bring Ukraine back to the 1991 borders, a question arises, who's being called for this? Those calling for this, are they familiar with the statements of Ukrainian leadership about what they intend to do with the residents of the relevant territories? And with respect to them, publicly, at the official level, repeatedly there have been threats voiced of their physical or legal annihilation. Incidentally, similarly, Western not only has not been deterring its Western protégés in Kiev, but has enthusiastically been encouraging this anti-Russian policy. Incidentally, similarly, members of the EU and NATO have for decades been encouraging the actions of Latvia and Estonia to strip the rights of hundreds of thousands of Russian language residents who have been called non-citizens. Now there is a serious discussion for the introduction of criminal responsibility, criminal liability for the use of their mother tongue. Senior officials officially state that the spread of information about the possibility of remote school programs, that this possibility needs to be considered as something almost a threat to national security, which requires the attention of law enforcement bodies. Turning back to Ukraine, in February 2015, the Minsk agreements were reached, and this included they were approved by a Special Security Council resolution fully in line with Article 36 of the Charter, which supports, I quote, any procedure for the resolution of disputes that was adopted by the parties, in this specific case, Kiev, Donetsk, and Lugansk. However, last year, all of the signatories of the Minsk agreements,